All right. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for joining us here today, Lions Talk Live Morning Show Edition. And you know what? Hey, it's a good day to be a Lions fan. You're in OTAs. The team's doing well. You got reports that, hey, Iffy Melifonu's looking like he's bulked up. You've got report James Houston looks like he's not still injured. You got reports that there's a lot of excitement over in Detroit. There's a lot of excitement with this franchise. I'm sure we all agree that this franchise is on a mission, and the mission is to make it to the Superdome. And if we don't get it, then it's going to be a bust for a year. So I've got a little bit of a question, as you could probably ascertain from the thumbnail for this video. The Detroit Lions, hey, are they a team of destiny? Are they a team that maybe Brad Holmes has been orchestrating for some time, trying to get things lined up into a Super Bowl window, and a window that I think we can all agree began last year and is going to extend for at least the next couple years. After that, who knows? You get 3, 4 year, 5 years out. Hard to always predict things. Now, if you're noticing that the mic sounds a little bit better today, hey, finally figured out what the problem was. It wasn't the mic itself, but apparently most of you guys, I think it was about 2 days ago, said that the sound just seemed off or whatever day, something changed, whatever it was. Turns out there was a system update on Microsoft, and yes, unfortunately, that affected some of the settings for the microphone. I had to go in and figure that out and Scooby-Doo it for a while. So anyways, let's real quick, before we get into the show in earnest, you guys all know it. Hey, if you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so. We're about 15, 18 subs, something like that, away from hitting 6,700. So if you could help out that'd be great. Also, if you're enjoying the content, either with this particular video or just in the channel overall, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. As you all know, it helps the channel out a ton, helps more and more new people find the channel. So if we can get each video on here to 200 to 300 thumbs up, that's always great. Last but never least, if you're looking to buy or sell property anywhere in the state of Michigan, who knows? It can even be a former Kentucky Fried Chicken. Give me a call. Shoot me a text. You see the number on the screen, 269-998-2384. If you're looking for a new house, you need to upsize, downsize, you need to switch locations, you're looking for commercial property, vacant land, again, whatever it may be, give me a call or shoot me a text, and let's see what we can do to help you out, save you some money, and make the process a whole lot easier. Again, 269-998-2384. All right, welcome to Lions Talk Live. Let's get this going. Some questions for you. What do you guys think? Has Brad Holmes been setting things up? When you look at the salary cap, the structure of everybody's deals, so especially everybody who signed contract extensions this offseason, whether you want to say that's Goff, Penei Sewell, whoever it may be, Amon-Ra St. Brown, it does seem like they all set terms that are incredibly favorable for this franchise for the next couple seasons. After that, that's where I think you're going to have some real questions about how things would shake out. Now, Goff, I do believe, if we get through the next 2 years, is he going to be willing to rework his contract to help the team retain or sign new players? I think there's a strong possibility of that. Could it be that Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell do the same? Absolutely. Without going into everybody's contract, here's what I would say. It does look, at least so far, that the Brad Holmes came into this regime and said, hey, I've got a long-term plan, and here's how I'm going to make it work. He's been playing chess while everybody else has been playing checkers. It's my anticipation that I know one of the lightning rod topics for this franchise, and to be honest, the fan base, has been the Goff, Hendon Hooker debate. There's going to be some people that say, hey, we should have just went with Hendon Hooker, even though we haven't seen him in an NFL game or whatever. Just the idea that he's cheaper, hey, he's more athletic, etc. There's also going to be people that say, hey, Jared Goff's earned the ability to be here. I would agree with that. Jared Goff's done everything he can to be here and lead this team forward. But when we're talking 3 years from now, who knows what's going to happen? I also think that on a totally different side note, we've got some players to watch in OTAs this week, and I'll go through that a little bit later the show, maybe around the bottom of the hour. But let's see what you guys have to say. Has Brad Holmes set everything up where the Detroit Lions, last year, obviously a Super Bowl contender. This year, we're assuming they're a Super Bowl contender. And then the next 2 seasons, where do you guys think? Scale 1 to 10, do you think the Lions have a legitimate shot to have a little bit of a dynasty run for the next couple years until some of these contracts really kick in? Do you think the Lions have the opportunity to challenge for the Super Bowl over the next 2 to 3 seasons? Let's see what you guys have to say. That's my burning question to you all, and I hope you're all on board with having a little conversation about it today. All right, Moonscar, good morning. Dan of the Duke Crew, back at you, and exclamation point. Bo, good morning, Duke Crew. Multi-dimensions, Superdome or bust. Woo! The first woo of the show, and just for you. I do love that, man. Michael, great salutations, Coach and Duke Crew. Super Bowl or bust! Exclamation points. One pride. Woo! Good morning, Michael. Hopefully having a great one. Stephanie, good morning, boys! Exclamation point. Got a sick one today, so I'm up on it. Wait a minute. Up and on it a bit early, taking care of baby girl. Well, take care of baby girl. Sorry that, sorry not feeling well. Hopefully feels a whole lot better soon. All right, Damien, greetings, salutations, do gang, getting that woo-woo coffee brewing. All right, woo-woo coffee. All right, we'll give you a woo-woo. All right, probably can't overdo that too much. All right, Big Eddie, Coach Brad always has a plan, doesn't he? Question mark. Let's see what you got for us today. Basically, in a nutshell, Eddie, I think he set the team up when you look at the roster construction, when you look at the contracts. I do believe Brad Holmes has set this team up where there's going to be some choices made like it will with any franchise. But I'm going to say this. I think he had at least 2 more years ahead of us where we're in it to win it. When you look at the contracts, when you look at when things really start kicking in, and how you're going to have to re-sign teams, how I think the salary cap is going to go up and kind of augment some of these contracts. The Lions, I think, are definitely in play unless unforeseen things happen this year. This year and next year. Who knows after that? It's my anticipation the Detroit Lions really are Superdome or bust, Super Bowl or bust. They're in it to win it. And if they don't, man, that's going to be a real disappointing factor for all Lions fans. And I get, if we go back 3 years ago and we ask all Lions fans, hey, 2024, you got an opportunity to get to 2023, 2024, 2025, maybe 26. You've got an opportunity to win the Super Bowl with that team. Everybody probably think you're smoking something or whatever. You got spiked Mountain Dew. Nobody would have guessed this would happen. And if I would have said Jared Goff would have been the quarterback for those teams, they probably would have also thought I was deranged or whatever. But that's what it is. And think about just really how quickly they've changed this team around. All right, Hatman, by the way, love the picture, man. Love the picture. And that's a good one, man. Hatman, good morning, Coach Dan and the Dew family. Is it me or did Iffy bulk up even more this offseason? Let's get that trophy. Woo! And you know what? I think he has, especially if you look at his shoulder mass. You look at that. I mean, the arms, the legs, they look a little bit bigger if you ask me. But definitely around the shoulders, you can see where he's been working out. So I think, good eyes on that. Very good eyes. Ed Lions Talk Live, let's go. We're going, and I'm glad you're here, Eddie. Glad you are here, my friend. Hatman, Damien just poured my woo coffee, and oh, yeah. Well, hey, there you go. Little woo-woo coffee, and hopefully you can have that and snap into a Slim Jim. All right, famous RW, greetings, salutations to all. With the yearly cap increase, this team can be together for a long time. Yeah, for a long time. Especially if they ever get a season where maybe it jumps up exponentially more, like, 15, 18% or something like that. 10 to 12% is fairly normal, but every once in a while, they do have a massive increase. I don't think we'll have that next year as far as like an 18%. Is it possible 15 or something? Sure, but I would anticipate 10 to 12, or at least right around there. All right, Suzanne, what do you got? Greetings, salutations all. I'm liking all the offseason moves so far. Dan, if you had one more move for the team to make this offseason, what would it be? Probably another wide receiver. And I get that's probably a cop-out answer because it seems like it's the one everybody lists, but that's probably it. I think defensive line, we're going to be better than most probably anticipate. And I think a lot of that is because the style of play we're going to have. I think we are really going to be Blitzburg. So we're not looking for people that can just beat blocking one-on-one. We're looking for people that are going to fill gaps and lanes, put pressure, and really put offensive linemen or blockers, I guess, to be fair, not everybody's going to be an offensive lineman, into bad situations. So that's my anticipation. I know some people have said, hey, maybe Betts will have a breakout year. He had 18 sacks in the CFL last year. That's totally possible. I'm just going to favor the likelihood he'll be a situational player. I think James Houston's going to have a pretty good season. Same with Davenport. Same with Josh Pascal. I think we're pretty good there. So just real quick, I think the answer to your question is wide receiver, just so you can have more established depth. Other than that, I think we're good across the board. All right, Ed, who are you starting? Who are your starting 11 on offense? Ooh, all right. Well, we'll go with Goff at quarterback. That'll be kind of the gimme answer. Let's see. We'll go St. Brown, Laporta, Jamison Williams, Gibbs. Then the offensive line, hey, we'll go with oh boy. Let's see. Excuse me. Decker, Panay. Let's see. Frank the Tank. Then you got the Kevin Zelder, and then you got Glasgow. So that's 10. Who would be the other one? Probably Donovan Peoples-Jones, I guess, at that point. That particular group, unless you're going to go with two backs, and that would be Montgomery. So I guess you could flex on Montgomery or Donovan Peoples-Jones. So go with that for now, Ed. All right, let's see. France, good evening, Dew Crew. My guess for Goff's stats this year are 4,800 yards, 34 touchdowns, 14 picks. What's everyone else's? I think that, those are very reasonable numbers. Obviously, you'd like the picks to be down more, but, sometimes deflections happen or unforeseen things happen. So, Goff, I tell you what, man, I'll one-up you just for the sake of the show. I'll go with 5,000 yards passing, 40 touchdowns, and 9 picks. How about that? Let's see where Dan O'Damas does with that. All right, Steve, greetings and salutations, Coach Dan and the Duke Crew. Back at you, Steve. Hopefully having a great morning, my friend. Ed, I think Gibbs and Daymont will. Okay, yeah, it could be, a split backfield, and I'd be okay with it. That would put a lot of pressure and probably force more linebackers on the field, would be my guess more often than not. All right, let's see. Robert, greetings, Coach and crew. Back at you. Hopefully you have an outstanding morning, Robert, and a good one. All right, Ed, combined for 25 or more touchdowns. That could happen for those two, for Montgomery and Gibbs. Yeah, that would be, man, that'd be an explosive year out of the backfield for him. All right, just say K. Let's see. Greetings and salutations all. Woo! Well, good morning and good woo to you too. All right, Ed, I love that we have a really good running game. It's a spectacle to watch. Yeah, I would say, yeah, the Lions, one of the things, we all get it as fans. They came in and said, we're going to be able to run the ball. We're going to be able to pound the ball. We're going to be able to do play action pass. We get that Goff, one of his strengths is play action pass. We also get the offensive line. They like to maul. I mean, not that they don't like to pass protect too, but it does put more and more pressure on opposing defenses. The more you can do, the more you can make things, less predictable for them. And I think that's a real credit to this organization for what they've set up with the offense. All right, Ed, what do you got? We have 3 big play guys on this team. Demont, Gibbs, and J-Mo. Yeah, I would say, yeah, they can all do house calls. Montgomery probably doesn't get enough praise for it, but then you do remember, was it when we played the Chargers last year? Man, was it the first play out of the half where he rips off that big run down the sideline, which J-Mo did some nice blocking on. He does have some big playability. Obviously, Jamison Williams does. Gibbs does, just because of their speed. Yeah, there's a lot of weapons on this offense. Frank the Tank, good morning, all. Woo! Well, good morning to you, Frank, and hopefully having an outstanding morning, my friend. Trumps, woo! Trumps, one thing I got for you. It doesn't seem like we see you in the chat as much anymore. Hopefully you're doing okay, man. I have noticed that. So hopefully all is well, my friend. All right, Frank the Tank, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are thinking ahead, years ahead. Go Lions. I would agree. They really do have a plan. They have something on the wall. Hey, this is what we're going to try to do. This is what we need to try to do. Yeah, they're not running, gunning it. They came in and they sat down. They developed a long-term plan, and they're sticking to that. Kudos to them. All right, Lions fan, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Who's ready for the weekend already? Yeah, it is a holiday weekend. I know a lot of people taking Friday off, so they have an extended 4-day weekend. Hey, man, Ed, you missed Laporta and St. Brown. That makes 5. Yes, I would agree. Throw them on that list because they're all playmakers. They can do something. Steve Rogers, greetings and salutations. The captain is reporting. Good to see you this morning, my friend. Hopefully, the camp is having a good one. All right, Ed. Well, to be fair, I'm talking about guys that can take short things and make it a house call. Our 3 biggest players come from plays. Yeah, came from Demont, Gibbs, and JMO. They. I mean, they all got wheels. They all got speed. You get them in one-on-one situations, they can do some damage to the defense. All right, Frank the Tank, Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell have a vision they put in place in 2021, and now it's becoming reality. And I love it. Go Lions! No, they, like we've said already in the show, they did come in and they wanted to establish certain things early to set the foundation. Now every year they've added more and more. A lot of it was added, as we all get, with the trade of Stafford. And I will say this. I heard a take on that recently, maybe a day or two ago, and I couldn't agree more with it. To me, they were asking, oh boy, who was it? MLB general manager, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he said he looked at the trade and said, that's how you want to trade. And he went in depth about it, and he said, he's not an NFL guy, but to him, that was as perfect a trade as possible. Here was his logic behind it. The Rams got what they wanted out of it. They got a Super Bowl. They got a quarterback that could, in their eyes, just do a little bit more and get them to the Super Bowl. The Lions, on the other hand, got all these draft picks and they resurrected Jared Goff. So it is a win for both teams, and that's what you want, because now when that team calls you back, you're more than likely to work with them. He said in any professional league, and I agree with this, you do not want to be the guy that calls to make a trade and everybody's like, I don't want to answer that phone. This guy is going to try to push it and push it and push it so they feel like they got all the value out of the trade and we got nothing. And I agree with it fully. You don't want to do that because you want people to trade with you. You want people to pick up that call. You want people to say, hey, what do you got? Yeah, all right, well, I'll work with you. So, food for thought on that. All right, Ed, what are reasonable all-purpose yards expectations for Gibbs, you think? All-purpose, I'm going to go with 1,500. He's probably going to have about 1,000 yards rushing this year and, somewhere around 500 receiving. So those are my expectations out of him this year. The only thing that might alter that slightly, but not a ton, would be if, just they want to keep it fairly even between him and Montgomery. But I do think just because Gibbs is so explosive, he's just so strong at what he does, that it's going to be hard to keep him off the field, more than 50% of the time. So when the end of the season happens, Ed, my anticipation is Gibbs is probably going to have closer to 55, maybe 58% of the snaps, which still means obviously David Montgomery gets 45, 42%. So it'll be close, but I do think Gibbs is going to start getting a few more reps. All right, Quentin, great and salutations, y'all. I think Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, and your boy Houston are going to light it up this season. Maybe Arnold, I don't know. I think you're spot on. I mean, Jack Campbell, I get he was kind of the ugly duckling out of the big four or whatever last year, but that doesn't mean he wasn't good at all. I thought he was just steady improvement throughout the year. He didn't have an all-star season, an all-pro season, or anything like that, but he looked steadily more and more like he was a contributing factor. So now in year 2, assuming he makes the sophomore jump, I'm anticipating you're correct. Jack Campbell is probably going to be an issue for other teams, or somebody they're going to have to pay attention to, maybe even have to account for. In regards to Houston, man, I feel like maybe I am the president and chairman of the James Houston fan club, and I might be. I'm not saying I'm not. Either way, though, I do think whether he's starting or coming off the bench, he's going to impact the defense a lot this season, just because the style of defense they're going to employ, I'm anticipating. Now, if you're asking about Brian Branch, to me, that's one of the safest bets out there if you're a betting person, because they're going to play him at safety, because they're going to play him at corner, because he's going to have another year of development in the NFL to the nuances, the wide receivers, the route trees, everything that wide receivers and quarterbacks do pre and post snap. He's going to have more experience with that. Yeah, I think that cat could have a real good season. So I'm with you on all three. In regards to Arnold, I'm going to guess everybody watching this anticipates he's going to be in the starting lineup. Now, the question will become, is it the number 1 corner, 2 or 3 corner? We're going to have to wait and see on that. I don't want to overload that kid with too much pressure because there's enough pressure just being the number 1 draft pick. There's even more pressure being a cornerback where the game is vastly different. Brian Branch, his former college teammate, he really did make it look easy, but that's not the norm, I'm guessing, as all of us are aware, for NFL cornerbacks that are rookies to come in. So Arnold, I'm guessing, will have a good year, but I also have a little bit of tempered expectations. Ed, rank the 3 in order of most or least likely to be All-Pro. Brian Branch, Iffy, Jack Campbell. Most likely would be Brian Branch. Oh, boy. I'm going to go with Iffy and then Jack Campbell in the order you wrote them. The reason why I will do that, just to give some explanation, because I do believe we're going Blitzburg so much, I think it's more likely Brian Branch or anybody in the secondary, so Iffy, Brian Branch, Iffy, have opportunities to get picks, make plays, bust them up, bat them down, etc. Jack Campbell, I think, is going to be a little bit more reliant to become an all-pro on getting a lot of sacks. And I do get last year they used him at defensive end or outside lane rusher more and more throughout the season. I thought he looked better over time. I remember talking about it that you could tell it was foreign to him. You watch his hand placement and his posture when he's rushing. You could see he's just never really done it a ton before. But with his athletic, God-given skills, if they do more and more teachable moments with him, continuing to develop, so when he's rushing the quarterback, he doesn't have to think about, all right, lead foot's there, I do this, that, where he's not a robot out there, he's just reacting. He could have a pretty good season. So you heard my thoughts. Let me know yours. All right, Ed, I expect that the middle of the season, our rookies will be hitting their stride and ready for postseason football. Could be. I think a lot of our rookies, most of us are probably going to agree on this. A lot of our rookies are going to require seasons to develop into NFL players. Whether it's 1 season or whatever, I think most of them aren't coming in right away. Now, Sion might be an exception because he is a running back who plays special teams, could play some defense if needed. Arnold, he's going to play. He's going to play. Rakestraw, I think he's going to play, although I think it's going to take him a little bit of time to get acclimated. But to your point, Ed, by the time the postseason hits, he could be ready. They could all be ready. All right, famous RW. I think this year Brad will make an impact, trade before the deadline. We are a championship caliber team. Use that to get us there. The question is, who will we trade for? Boy, I guess it would come down to just situations. Like somebody gets hurt, maybe a certain positional group isn't developing to expectations. So I would say wait and see on that. Ed, we have gone from I don't know if we can beat this team to I don't know if they can beat us. And I love it. And we should, man, because you're 100% right. As Lions fans, most of our lives, we go into games, and if it's close, we're like, man, can we really do this? Can we really do this? Now, if it's close, we're almost disappointed because why aren't we blowing this team out? So I think you're spot on, Ed. The players expect to win every game. So do I, even though I know they will lose some. Yeah, it's crushing when we lose games now for a different reason than when it was when we lost them before. The reason now is you expect to win every game. So any kind of loss, there's going to be an overreaction to it. Ed, in your opinion, the floor is 10-7. The ceiling is 15-2. I'd go with that. Yeah, that's a pretty good range. Ed, I only see 10-7 happening if we get killed with injuries. Last year, we were 11-1 in games where our starting offensive line played. I expect to be the same. Yeah, I'll go with that. Man, Ed, okay, I see your point on there. Yep, all right, we'll go with that. John, morning crew, looks like a similar approach the Rams took with a Stafford trade. Goff contract could be a long-term burden. It could be, but I will say this. The next 2 years on it, hey, incredibly favorable. I don't think anybody's got issues with that. It's going to be year 3 or 4 that maybe he's going to have to do some renegotiating. Since the Lions really control the first 2 years of the contract, though, could it be? And I'm not saying it's going to, but could it be at that point the Lions really do have to make a choice on quarterback because sort of like with Aaron Rodgers, I do think the Lions front office uses a lot of the same techniques that the Green Bay Packers, Pittsburgh Steelers, to name a few, Baltimore Ravens have used to develop their teams. Could it be after 2 more years of Goff that maybe they are forced into something? Either Goff has to reduce his salary contract or they're put into a situation where somebody else has to be a consideration. All right, Moonscar, Damien, it's central to my day so that I get my woo coffee started sooner rather than later. Fair enough. And you know what? Somehow there's got to be a marketing opportunity for woo coffee. All right, Rocky, good morning. It actually looks like Brad has set the Lions up for good times, but I sometimes still have that same old Lions feeling that's slow going away. Hey, another season or two of this rock and of us being dominant or one of the better teams in the league, I think all of us are going to slowly start moving on from SOL. So unless we pull off some SOL moments. All right, Mike the Marine, Gunny, how you doing? Howdy, Dan, Lions faithful. I'll listen after my surgery today to clear kidney stone blockage on the right with a laser and remove stent from left. No worries. God is with me. Have a great day. Woo! Well, this woo's for you, Gunny, and hopefully all goes well for you, my friend. Yeah, thoughts and prayers to you. Let us know how it goes. All right, Dave, Coach, please do a mock team from all of our non-starters. Woo! That's so who would be the next? Who would be the best of the next group? All right, I'll see what I can do with that, Dave. That's actually not a bad idea, man. Thanks for that. Patrick Green, sanitation's on. Hope you all have a blessed day. And I am really looking forward to both preseason games and the regular season to start. Woo! Well, good morning to you, Patrick. Hopefully you are right that, yes, all above are ready for both the preseason and regular season games. Hey, it'll be here before you know it, my friend. Before you know it. Rocky, after more than 60 years of disappointment, I hope you all understand. Yeah, I mean, you're not alone in that boat, man. There's a lot of people feeling the exact same way you are. Hatman, I see Gibbs getting more around 2,300 all-purpose yards with 10 to 12 touchdowns. Man, that would be an outstanding year. Dave, we are that deep, right? Yes, we are pretty deep. We are very deep. And I know we've talked about on the show, but yeah, we've got a lot of guys who will not make the Lions' final roster that are going to be snatched up and playing on other teams within hours. Patrick, I really want to get a look at Hooker in the game situation. He seems to have a great touch on the long ball down the field and seems to be able to make all the throws. I think that's why Brad Holmes drafted him. I think you're spot on with that, Patrick. I do think, again, it seems to me that we have employed a lot of the same thought processes, techniques, however you want to word it, that the Packers, Ravens, Steelers, and there's other teams that have definitely done this format. I do think just in regards to Hendon Hooker, I think in the future, if he really develops, he's like an Jordan Love type, or I guess he's an Aaron Rodgers type because Rodgers did replace Favre. So we'll see what happens. I mean, the good thing for Goff is Goff's he's only like 29. So in today's NFL, man, he's got like another 200 years playing. So I don't anticipate Hooker is going to supplant Goff anytime in the foreseeable future. Hey, man, can you smell what Brad is cooking? Woo! And he's cooking up sustainable long-term success for the Detroit Lions. There's depth across the board. I get next year we're already out 2 draft picks, but I would throw this to you guys too. I know we've talked about in the past on Lions Talk Live, as some of the contracts rise, I do believe, and I know we've talked about it before, that we're probably getting closer to the time, if you get to next year's draft and the year after that, where you'll see the Lions draft in the first and second round. All their other picks will be pushed to the 5th, 6th, 7th round just because of the cost savings. You're probably filling out a lot of the end of the team, developmental players, etc., on the team with late round picks because of the cost savings. So now you kind of augment some of the contracts you're having to give out to your top flight players. If you're playing, just for sake of discussion, $28 million for this tackle, and you bring another one in at $1 million, now the average on your line is what? It's basically, 14 million, right around there. So for those two spots. So I think that's ultimately what they're going to do in the future. All right, kneecap biting. Good morning, Lions fans and Dan. Thank you for that. And woo, good morning to you too. Moonscar at Rocky. I feel you. I need to see repeat success on the field this season and less Vildor through the hands of the helmet man plays. Yeah, unfortunately. In that NFC title game, there were a lot of moments where I'm sure Lions fans were thinking same old Lions. All right, Phil, good morning to Jen. Yes, she's downstairs doing her show, doing her thing. And she's crushing it on I don't remember which platform it was, maybe a Facebook or Instagram. I don't know. I don't keep up with it, but she's got like 35,000, whatever they are, they're followers or whatever. So I'm not as versed in those platforms. All right, Ed, Team of Destiny. It is our year, 100%. I agree. When we win it all this year, it will feel like it was a destination operation, getting us from the worst team in the NFL to the top team in the NFL in just 4 years. All right, Ed, teams fear us. I think you're right. I think a lot of teams will, especially our offense now combined with what I'm anticipating out of the defense. Blitzburg plus, the silver streak, silver bullet, whatever you want to call it. I think, there's not going to be many teams lining up wanting to play us. I think there are going to be a lot of teams that are going to not look forward to us on the schedule. All right, kneecaps, what do you got? I have been saying that since Goff contract came out, that the contract looks like a Super Bowl or bust 2-year contract. Yeah, and it's not just him when I make those comments. I think you look at Panay's and Amon-Ra's. Now, with all that being said, if I was to try to counter that, if I'm Brad Holmes, I guess what I would do is say Aiden Hutchinson. We all know he's going to get re-signed, probably Aleem McNeil. So what do? I probably put a lot of their weight in the first year or two of the contract. So now when I hit those years where Goff, Panay, Amon-Ra's contracts really kick in, anybody I re-signed, using Aiden Hutchinson and Aleem as an example, when I hit those years, their contracts lessen, so they kind of offset. Sort of like we were talking just a moment ago about, the rookies. I bring in a bunch of late round picks to try to offset the high price value contracts of the stars. I would be doing the same with the contracts of anybody I'm re-signing at this point going forward. I'm front loading their contracts, so when those big paydays come out of the contracts we just signed, they offset a little bit. So food for thought. Don't know if that's what they'll do, but that's what I would do as a GM. All right, Ed, win the whole darn thing? Yes, so that will be the idea this year. Go ahead and we'll just win it all. Have a major league moment. There's one thing to do. Just win it all. Paul, hey, Dan, exclamation point. Good morning. This is Motor City Paul. Hey, living out in central Pennsylvania. It's my first time joining the live group. Woo! Well, Paul, hey, good morning to you. Glad you're joining the show, and good to have you a part of it, man. Hopefully having a great one. Bo, sounds good today. Yes, hey, I think we got it figured out. So I guess what I'm going to have to do is just every morning before I go on, hey, shame on me for never thinking about this before, but going into the settings and making sure. So the reason why the sound sounded bad is the sound wasn't coming through the mic. It was coming through the computer. So even though the mic was on and everything, and I was like, man, I didn't change any settings, the position. I mean, I was putting my finger on my nose, holding the mic up, seeing if there was a signal or whatever. I spent a day or two, as you guys know, trying to figure it out. And then it was as simple as going into the settings, realizing that when the update happened, a lot of settings got put back to factory. They got me. All right, Detroit D, good morning to all. Good morning to you too. Patrick, the sound is great. Awesome job getting it straightened out. Yeah. Sometimes it's the simplest things that are the answers, not the more complicated ones. But yes, thankfully it's done. All right, Miles Barker, welcome to the chat at Paul. Yes, and welcome to the Do Crew, Paul. All right, kneecaps, sound is less canned sounds more full. Hey, good stuff. I'll take it. Ed, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. If the Lions are lucky, they go 12-5. If not, I see 10-7 season. Manny has a very favorable schedule and a very good team. They do. I mean, hey, we all get it, man. The NFC North is going to be one of the better divisions in all of football. Whether it's Minnesota, Chicago, Green Bay, yeah, you're having to come out in those games, and you're going to play. You're going to have to play at a high level. I don't think anybody's going to go undefeated in the division this year. All right, Matthew, greetings, salutations. Good morning, everyone. Super Bowl or bust. Woo! And good morning to you, Matthew. Patrick, Brad Holmes is playing 4D chess. He does things today with an eye on the future. Also, the cap space will also increase. Yeah, I think you're spot on, Patrick, with all the above. So the cap space is going to go up over time, which obviously lessens some of these contracts. Yeah, it's just he knows what he's doing. I think we can all say at this point it's a safe bet. He's setting the team up not just for this year, but for multiple years to come. Kneecap biting reports out of Minnesota is JJ looks more like Malik Willis than a top 10 pick. Well, you guys all know my stance on JJ, and it's nothing disrespectful for him. It's just when we did the draft stuff, the lead up to the draft, when I watched him play, is the kid athletic? Absolutely. Has he made some big time throws? 100%. But to me, the big problem I had with J.J. McCarthy was watching his read progressions versus defenses. And I get defenses in college are not NFL. But when I watched him work progressions from receiver 1, 2, 3, etc., in my opinion, he struggled with that. In my opinion, and I'm in U of M territory. He looked more like a developmental quarterback. Now, with that being said, would I have taken him in the late second round, third round, fourth round? Absolutely. Because then you could just sit him for a couple years, work on some of these details, and there's no stress or pressure to put that kid in. I think the mental component that would do for him would be great through the chart. If you're talking about JJ as a leader of people, I think he's grade A. I think as far as coachability, he's grade A. I think as far as arm strength and athleticism, all that stuff's there. But when I watched him, and I didn't watch him as much as possible Lions draft picks, I think he's probably a couple years away from playing. And my worry for Minnesota is, are they going to have to force him in like a lot of teams do, because they need the production out of that number one quarterback now, or at least number one draft pick. That's why I really hope that they just say, hey, this rookie year, you're just going to sit and develop. Do the player a solid and don't mess up their long-term potential. Because I do believe J.J. McCarthy has all the stuff a coach can't teach. Now, can you teach him up? Can you coach him up into being something? I think you can, but if you throw him out there and just get him shell-shocked like most teams do when they rush quarterbacks, you could end up messing that kid's career up real quick. All right, Patrick, also Stempify to all my fellow Jarhead brothers and sisters out there. Back at you, Patrick, and yes, thank you for that. And thank you for all your service, too. And do you think that Brad studied different dynasties and such to see how they build a team? Yes. The quick answer is yes. I think he's mimicked a lot of teams or franchises that have sustainable success. It's also why I think there's probably more credence. We've evolved the team into the point where you could see potentially the Lions do some skip them picks of the Los Angeles Rams. Because let's be honest, one or two more real impact players, and this team's just dang tough for most teams to contend with. If we do that, the only thing I would say, unlike the prior Rams regimes, that, hey, I trade you my first and second for this player, you've got to give me your sixth and seventh. Because, again, I think they got to augment some of those salaries with younger, less expensive, low-round draft picks. All right, Rocky, what do you got? Rumor as it out to in football land that the Bears rookie quarterback doesn't want to be in Chicago. Could be. And you know what? Hey, just being totally selfish as Lions fan, I hope that's accurate. in life, do I want this kid, Caleb Williams, to be unhappy? Do I want him to be a bust? No, I don't want that on anybody. But as a Lions fan, if he could be a bust twice a year, I'm all for it, man. All right, Bo, step 5. There you go. Ed, Minnesota 12-5, Green Bay 11-6, Detroit 10-7, Chicago 9-8. All right, well, Ed, we got to get you some better woo-woo coffee. We got to get Detroit to the head of your list. All right, kneecaps. C rounds might be looking up at Vaki in the depth chart from the practice squad. It is possible. I think you guys all heard me talk about him. As a USC fan, I've watched what he did at Utah against us. The kid's got some ability. He's got some athleticism, and he hits that hold hard. I think a lot of it, kneecaps, will come down to how many running backs do they keep on the 53-man roster. I don't foresee any of the rookies making it to the practice squad, just because I think they won't stay there very long. There's even some reports. Oh gosh, what's his name? The defensive tackle /N. I'm drawing a blank. It starts with the W, but that he's looked real good in OTA so far. And man, sorry, I just drawn a blank on his name. All right, Bo, 14-3. Yes, that's what I think the Lions fans are gearing for. JP, great salutations. Let's go Lions. Good morning, Dan. Back at you, JP. Hopefully having a great one. Courtney, Jared Goff equals Drew Brees. Hendon Hooker equals Tyson Holmes. Get him some playing time. Yeah, I think you will probably see some packages, Courtney, with Hendon Hooker out there. And I get he's going to be probably one of the more watched players this preseason. And we still got a few months of that. But yes, he's going to draw some attention for sure. Rocky, hopefully the players on this team willing to renegotiate their contracts for the better of the team. Woo! Yeah, I think you get a couple seasons in, especially with Goff. I get what he says that, hey, he wanted more like no trade, guaranteed money, security, etc. And I get he's been through it before. So I do believe we get past the first 2 money years of the contract. When you get into the bulk of stuff now, that's where he's got a higher probability of renegotiating. All right, Patrick, there's no way we can get too many woos. That would be a scientific impossibility. There we go. Yes, well, this woos for you, man. All right, Ed, to have a dynasty, you must win the division every year for 10 years. That won't happen in our division anymore. Well, yeah. Could we have a couple of years run? Sure. I mean, who knows? Maybe some teams will bust out. Maybe some of the picks won't work. Maybe the Detroit Lions will be a team of destiny and a dynasty. One funky, Courtney, that's not even close to true. Hend is nothing like Hill, and Goff doesn't have a pocket awareness that Brees had. Fair enough. All right. Kneecap. Let's see. What do we got? I see a window of wins for our Lions between 11 and 13. Never more than 2 away games in a row, and 5 only away twice away after Thanksgiving. That's a favorable schedule travel-wise. Woo! Yeah, I think the schedule is laid out pretty well for them. And I know we talked about it when we reviewed the schedule, whatever it was, a day or so after it came out. I'm going to guess the NFL front offices did the Lions a lot of solids because they understand the Lions are incredibly marketable. That's why they have a gajillion, prime time games. They're probably going to end up with some more prime time games. And the league understands right now the Lions are a hot commodity. Everybody wants to watch them. They want the Lions to shine. They have a vested interest to a certain degree in the Lions' success, which has not been the case in the past. That's why maybe some same old Lions moments happened. I've done some videos on that. So if you guys want to get why I think maybe prior to last year and this year, the league was probably okay if the Lions got, railroaded sometimes, you go dig and find those videos. All right, Ed, who is saying that Green Bay isn't still a dynasty? That I don't know. We'll find out. All right, Motown Mitch, what do you got? Green salutations, coach and Duke crew. Lions rule, Bears drool. I don't think Brad has any plan or has had one. I think the man flies by the seat of his pants and goes by his gut instinct. It could be. Maybe he's could he be a total savant as a GM? Absolutely, man. The guy seems like he's got an incredibly high IQ, but he gets things done. However he does it, I think that's what we can say. He gets things done. All right, Ed, Dynasty is Super Bowls, not division titles. The 2000s Colts aren't considered a dynasty, and they won the AFC South every year. That's a good point. Yeah, New England is a dynasty because they won all the Super Bowls. So you may have a point there. All right, Moonscar, I would say we have our key contributors locked in. The best chance we have ever seen for repeat success during the Ford ownership. 90s teams messed up, yeah, letting players go. Kevin Glover, Lomas Brown, and they did. They let, trying to remember everybody they let go. Lomas Brown, you're right. Kevin Glover, correct. Chris Spielman. They just, for whatever reasons, man, and I know I've talked about this before, when I used to have to cover the teams during those years, it just always was a massive division between three entities: the front office, the players, the coaching staff. And they were all going in different directions. It just seemed like every other year they would come together, and the next year they fall apart. Then they'd come together, then they fall apart. And that's why you'd make the playoffs and have some breakout season one year, then fall apart. Then you'd have seasons where you'd start off, and I don't know, 0-8, and then you'd win like 10 straight games or whatever it was, 8 straight games to make the playoffs. Or you'd have an incredibly bad start and win a bunch of games to nearly make the playoffs. I mean, you get it. That just, it's too bad what the 90s Lions could have been. And unfortunately, whoever you want to point the finger at and blame, there was a lot of blame to go around. All right, Ed, haven't the Packers been on top of our division for 30 years? They have, and they've only won. To be fair, they've won 2 Super Bowls in the last 30 years. So the Lions would be okay with 2 Super Bowls in 30 years. All right, kneecaps. They are saying 9 to 15 million cap increase next year, but that was before the injection of Netflix money for the Christmas games. Food for thought, sir. Yes, I'd say that's a good call on the Netflix money, and there will be other money coming in from other games. What's happening with the NFL, I think, is going to happen more and more. You're seeing it all across sports, from boxing, MMA events now being on streaming services, in the NBA, NHL. Streaming services are all vying for the last thing that keeps cable relevant, and that's sports. Because everything else with cable, you seem to be able to find online with a streaming service. So they know to get to the sports on their products or services makes them more relevant. So I'm anticipating, I guess what I could just say with this, you're going to see more and more NFL games get moved to various different providers because it makes them money. All right, Motown, one funky question. Are you the same guy as Dr. D and Brandon Katz, or how are you related? Fair enough. That's a good question. That will not one I can answer. Ed, Brand has got this team set up to start winning on a consistent basis. That I agree with. I agree 100%, Ed. And hopefully having a good time fishing this morning. Kneecaps, Davenport and Houston both struggle in the run game. They do. Betts was more than a pass rusher. He was a savvy run defender who was always around the ball. He was. It's just, how much of a leap can he make from the CFL to the NFL? That's what will be one of the bigger questions probably in the preseason games. He could be a total monster. I've talked about what I like about him, what I don't like about him, but that's also on limited study and basis. But he does not have anywhere near James Houston's bend. I'm going to say 99% of the planet does not. Davenport's probably the best between the medium between Betts and Houston. But, they've got some good options there. And we should not forget Joshua Pascal. I get he's missed some time over his career, but really in the last year's playoffs, especially the NFC title game, I thought that was some of his best play of his career. So the trend is your friend, I always like to say. One funky, Mitch, you're clueless and have some real issue with me and act like I say Goff is trash when I never said any of this. Get off my back unless you want to stop being a keyboard tough guy and meet up. Okay, I guess, maybe I missed something. I didn't realize that you guys were beefing or whatever, but maybe it was in a different chat or something. That I don't know. All right, Patrick, I think we have 2,000-yard rushers this season. Yeah, I mean, we nearly had it last year. Whatever, Gibbs was off like 50 yards or something like that. Not a ton, but yeah, I would say, there's a strong possibility for that. Kneecap biting. Will Goff Will Goff stop not passing to a wide open JMO and forcing the ball to double covered wide receiver, aka Josh Reynolds St. Brown? Hey, all will be revealed once the season gets here. Jameson Williams has developed quite a bit. Yes, there's been times that Goff has missed him on some throws, or other players, to be fair, too. But I think it seemed like as the year went on, they got on the same page more and more. There's could be a ton of reasons why that came into be. All right, Paul. Hey, Dan, good, exclamation point. Good morning. This is Motor City Paul living out in central Pennsylvania. Feel like we had this one earlier. But hey, either way, just for you, Paul. Woo! There you go. And thank you again for being part of the Do Crew now. All right, Miles Barker. I'd like Dan to have a kicker he feels he can trust more than the current setup. Yeah, and that do we upgrade the kicking position? I guess that's what we have to wait and see. So, I mean, all will be revealed, I'm guessing, in that regards in the next week or two. One Funky, Goff Slampies are so broken, they make up stuff to talk about if you question any part of his game. Y'all need to seek therapy. All right, so we'll consider that. Motown Mitch, okay, you guys are having a debate. I'll let you guys debate away. All right, Patrick, I really want to see how Green does this year. Yeah, I think he is potentially an option. He's got some work to beat out Donovan Peoples-Jones, but that doesn't mean he couldn't do it. The other part is the more Donovan Peoples-Jones is pushed by Green, makes them both better, makes the wide receiver room a whole lot deeper. So I'm on board with you, Patrick. All right, kneecaps. I started talking about Jake Bates' 70-yard field goals pregame routine. Now I hear every Lions podcast talking about it. I saw it in Ford Field week 2 for the Panthers. I'm sure there's, especially this time of year, you get it, kneecaps, that everybody's looking for stuff to talk about. So if somebody heard you chat about it or picked up on it too, yeah, they're going to run with it, man. They're going, when I first started this, I remember I did my breakdown on, I think it was the TJ Hockenson trade and why it made sense to move on from TJ Hockenson. Breaking down the footwork patterns with him, how he doesn't come out of breaks clean when going to the sidelines. You should, when he plant that first foot, going to an edge, and he rounded it. And I remember, oh gosh, it was the shootout loss to Seattle at Ford Field, whatever it was, the year we ended up 9-8. And I think literally Hockenson did that, and it led to a pick by Jared Goff. I think it was a pick 6 right out of halftime. And I remember talking about it, and then real quickly afterwards, I started Lions Talk Live a week later. Hawkinson's traded, and I was talking to Mike about it. He's like, man, don't put that in a video until you're ready to release it because you'll have everybody jumping on it and copying it. And I did it, and he was right. The video took off, and it really launched the channel because I want to say I got like 30-some thousand views on it. And there were some people saying you're wrong, man. There's some people saying, wow, you're right. Now I go back and watch it. And that was one of my first big videos on YouTube. So you're right. Everybody's going to copy if they like what you got to say. All right, One Funky. When and where do you want? Oh, boy, here we go. All right, you guys man, maybe we could broadcast the fight between Motown Mitch and One Funky on Lions Talk Live. That is a pay-per-view exclusive on Lions Talk Live. It will cost you Mountain Dew to get in. All right, Bo. Tailgate 100%. Yes, let's get a tailgate organized. Gary, good morning all. Grit for life, exclamation points. I've been saying all along, this year is not our only chance at a Super Bowl. Brad and Dan are building a dynasty, and they're not about to be a one-hit wonder. Yeah, I agree. They're going to try to build this thing to be sustainable for a long time. All right, Patrick, have you heard anything on the Rams looking or in talks with the New York Jets in trading Stafford? I know that they did that last year when, what's his name? Rodgers went down. I don't think they're into it now, though. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe the Jets aren't happy with Aaron Rodgers or something. I just don't see them having that kind of salary for both Rodgers and Stafford on the same team. Now, if you're saying both teams are going to swap quarterbacks, I guess maybe it could happen, but I have not heard anything more than that about it. And again, that would have been a year ago or so. Because I do know the Rams were trying to unload Stafford prior to last year. All right, Gary, even if we don't win this year, I'm not worried. I know we will, and the winning will last for a while. No, I think you're right. We're built for a sustainable, foreseeable future. All right, camping and fishing this weekend. Woo! We'll go enjoy it. And yeah, enjoy your extended weekend, my friend. All right, kneecap biting. Patrick, that was clickbait article by a guy with an opinion. I haven't heard anything realistic in my media circles. There you go. Yeah. Again, I don't think that it's going to happen this year. Mitch, nothing now. Crickets. Okay. Yep. All right. You guys still going. All right, Eric. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, too. Hopefully, I'm going to do one. Patrick, Gibbs is Barry Sanders the second. Yes, there are some similarities between them, too. We start seeing him hitting that zero button on the controller and doing all those spin moves. Man, he might be being coached by Barry. Don Burr, hey, Gibbs isn't Barry! Exclamation point. Now let's get out of hand. Yeah, let's not get out of hand. Hey, good morning to you, Don Burr. All right, kneecaps. I really wish as fans we quit putting lofty comparisons to our guys. We can't. Why can't Gibbs be Gibbs? Gibbs is Gibbs, unless somebody changes his jersey. All right, Sanders. Who is our big trade away 2 to 3 years from now? Man, that I don't know, man. Was a big trade away through 2 to 3 years from now. I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. I can't think of anybody that's coming at least to the top of my noggin. Sorry about that, man. Phil, can Houston's leg take the stress? Question mark. Worried about him? I mean, I'm going to assume so, especially now that by the time the season starts, man, you've had a full year of recovery at his age and with the medical staff they have. I'm assuming he's going to be fine, but you are correct about one thing. Where that injury happens and the amount of torque he puts on that lower portion of his leg / ankle, because he is so bendable and flexible, I guess, yeah, that could be something to pay attention to, but I'm going to think positively that he's going to be good to go. Motown, hate to say this, but I agree with Don Burr. Slow that train down. Fair enough. Agreed. Boo. Good morning, Dan. Duke Group, go Lions. Back at you. Yada, yada. If Coach Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson are smart, they could put both RB running back on the field, especially in division games. That would be a dangerous lineup. And if they're smart, wishful thinking. But yeah, have both running backs out there at the same time. Yeah, they could totally do that. Totally. Phil, how long will Branch be out of the lineup, and what exactly happened to him? I'm anticipating, but I have not heard anything confirmed, that he probably had some of the cartilage cleanup, maybe some bone spurs or something like that in the ankle, because that was the ankle that he messed up a few times during the season. So if that's what it is, by preseason or training camp, he should be fine. All right, let's see, kneecap biting. Let's see, Houston is the only guy I worry if he'll ever be the same after that broken ankle. Yeah, and again, because the amount of bend and flexibility and just pressure he puts on it when he bends, it could be something, but I guess you can get around it a little bit by playing him on the other side of the field, maybe. Like that way he's putting all that tension on the opposite leg that didn't break. Patrick Donbur, I was just making a small joke. There you go. Motown Mitch, who said anything about golf besides you? Man lives rent-free. Okay, boy, here we go. All right, yada, yada. Brad, if you're in the chat, make that happen. Woo! Let's see if Brad jumps back in the chat. Phil, the audio sounds like home. All right, very good. I guess it's fixed then. I'm glad we finally got that remedied. Kneecap Branch is back now. He's fine. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's good. He's all back and ready to go. Brad, I'm here. Yay. Yeah, there you go. Hey, Brad's always showing up. Thank you, Brad Holmes, for jumping into the comment section. Phil, we still need D-line. All right, Phil, is there any spots in particular you would address, or just you're saying in general? Fair enough. All right, Jeremy, what do you got? Good morning, Dad, kneecaps. There you go. Very good. Good morning. Good morning to you, too. Hatman, hey, Brad, good to see you again. Yes, Brad Holmes in the house, on his way to the offices, I'm guessing. Kneecap, not according to our GM, we have a total of 17 defensive line players in the roster. Breathe, people. Very good. One funky. Courtney said Goff equals Breeze. I live rent-free in your head because I point out one difference between them, and you started with the insults. You are a broken individual, so clueless. All right. Phil, if we lose games, it's because of us, not the other team. I would go with that. Yeah, we're talented enough where we should be able to win the vast majority of our games. All right, Miles, Jan, you need to work on your sweet talk, bro. Your insult Holmes is, quote, not smart. Then immediately ask him to do something you want. Okay. Phil, here we go. Yep. Brad Holmes, good morning, guys. Just a little nugget. Davenport is 6'6", 270 pounds. Is looking like the first round pick he was in 2020! Exclamation points. Expect to see a really good player this year and on a 1-year contract. So I get what you're saying. Bo, oh boy, here we go. All right, Motown, let's see. Yeah, all right, here we go. All right, Phil, just beginning to work on the Do Crew guitar. Any ideas? Man, I would just suggest some Do colors, Durific colors. Yada, yada. Okay, yep. Phil, knock it off, guys. Yeah, just everybody calm down, have a Mountain Dew, and just relax, man. Keep it fun here. All right, anytime. All right, kneecaps. Hope that means Davenport used an anti-aging machine and made himself 21 again. That way he can play more than 6 games this season. Let's hope so. Let us hope he can get in more than that. Dave, Brad is Betts the guy. Ooh, let's see what he has to say. Boy, all right. Don Burr, what's going on here this morning? Sounds like a boxing match is being scheduled. Well, let's get ready to rumble. Coming out of this corner. Yes, I kind of miss doing announcing in games like that, man. Big Daz, with Gibbs, Laporta, and St. Brown, we have our own triplets. Yes, we do. We do have very similar to the Dallas triplets. Yes. Motown. Well, okay. All right. Brad Holmes, Betts can thrive. Wide receiver just needs to see our against NFL competition. Yeah. All right. Okay. See him against the the NFL. We'll see what he can do. Kneecaps, I'm trying to talk in between the insults and fight requests, but might have to think about being Don King and promote this. Hey, man, it could maybe benefit the channel by having a Lions Talk Live multi-event. Well, that's right. We've got 3 different matchups and into this corner. Coming in the one funky colored shorts, we got one funky. In the opposite corner, we got Motown Mitch. Let's get ready to rumble. There we go. Bo, Coach, your voice this morning sounds like the way I feel. Woo! Is a little under the weather. Fair enough. All right. Fair enough. Yada, yada. BH, even though you are in the hot seat with me, make you sure make that happen. And I hope you prove me wrong. I really do just think you will. Okay, fair enough. Miles Margaret, not a clue what you replied to me. Okay, all right, but wait. Jeremy, Dad, do you need my help? All right, fair enough. Kneecap, after watching game film out of CFL, Brad Holmes, the BC Lions, Betts is all-around type player, pass rusher, and plays the run defense great. Yes, and to be fair, he did nearly make the Bears roster, whatever it was, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. So it's not like he's far off with things. It's just, obviously he didn't get that final push. All right, guys, it's been over an hour. I got to go hit the gym, get ready for work, all that kind of stuff. So if there is some sort of breaking news today, I'll get over to you as quick as possible. Other than that, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that push to get to 7,600 subs. We're about 15 or so away. Also, if you would be so kind, take a moment out of your day, hit the thumbs up button, and it helps the channel out a lot. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody. Happy trails to you until